Now joining us is the coach of South Carolina, and that's Shane Beamer. Coach, first off, congratulations. Appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this. How you been?
I've been great. Appreciate you saying that. And it was a great weekend, and thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you coming on. So you guys got off to a really good start. We've seen you before in these games this year. Get out hot. You're up 17-6. Then you allow back-to-back touchdowns. And right before the half, I thought getting that field goal just to walk into the locker room tied was enormous for your football team. How big, looking back at it, was the field goal right before the end of halftime?
Yeah, that's a great point. And that's what one of the things I was really, really proud of the other night was just our response when A&M responded, which we knew they would. We got off to a great start. They came back. They took the lead. And then for us to be able to execute a 2-minute drive down the field and get points right there was huge. And it was just to tie it up, but it was just enough momentum to finish the half, and it allowed us to go in there and as coaches talk about, look, we're in a tie ball game versus a top 10 team that's undefeated in the SEC. What more do you want? It's all right here in front of us. But absolutely, that drive and then the field goal were really big.
You know, I was sitting there, I was watching the game with a fat Italian sandwich, and I may have had a cocktail or two. And I'm thinking when you walk into the locker room at halftime, with seeing your team play quite a few times this year and how it just hasn't gone right for you guys in these big games, I'm like, Shane Beamer's just got to give this electric speech. You know, was it calm in that locker room like you were talking about, or were you a little fired up when talking to the squad?
I'd say it was a little bit of both. As soon as we came off the field, I grabbed him, and usually I say something to him right before we go back out on the field. But in that instance, I just walked right in the locker room before I got with the offense and the defensive coaches, and really just told them what I just said. That look, guys, it's what more could you want? We're at home. It's a tie ball game. They've responded, we've responded, told you guys it was going to be a heavyweight fight, and that's what it is. And we'll find out a lot about our team here in the second half, but making sure they also understood that, give Texas A&M credit, but we had, at that point, we had given up a long touchdown run because we were misaligned on defense and gave up a long touchdown run. We had some mistakes on offense that affected us. So really it was more, let's get ourselves corrected and fixed here at the half. And then when we come out here in the second half, we've been talking all week that this is a identity type game, and we're going to find out a lot about ourselves and our team and our program here in the next 30 minutes.
And then your team was able to outscore an A&M in the second half 24-0. If I would have told you that walking out of the locker room to go play the next 30 minutes that you would blank them in the second half and you guys would put up 24 points, what would you have said to me in the moment?
I was just hoping to score 24 in the game against that defense. They're so good. But in all seriousness, I would have told you that I would think it was possible that we were at home and our home crowd, the energy and the momentum that they create. Certainly, we can get on a roll with anyone. And our offense had shown some signs of really being productive that night at the half, and we were doing some great things at halftime. We really were running the ball, throwing the ball. I don't think we had a penalty in the first half. So I knew that if we continued to do those things and we were able to get some turnovers, that was going to be huge. And that was one thing I said at halftime, too. I think from a turnover standpoint, at halftime, they had not turned the ball over at all, and we had turned it over one time. And we had talked a lot going into the week that we are going to have to get some takeaways in this game. A&M's too good on defense, and they're operating at a high level offensively. So I challenged our guys, we got to go get some takeaways because right now we're losing that battle 1-0. So if you had told me that we would get 2 takeaways in the second half in our own territory, stop them on another 4th and 1, and continue to be efficient, I would say that there's a chance. But our guys played really, really great in the second half. There's no question about it, against a really good team and really physical team that prides themselves on getting better as the game goes.
You know the conversation heading into a season like this. Some people are out on you, some people are out on your program. And a lot of those times you're in a lot of those games this year and they just haven't gone your way. For it to go right, for you to get that victory, now sit at 5-3, you just beat a top 10 team. I called it a program-changing win for your squad. Just how do you kind of look at what that win means now moving forward for A&M, for South Carolina?
Yeah, obviously, we can't be, we're not talking about A&M after we got back to work this week. We've got another big challenge in Nashville this Saturday, but I'm not dumb. I also realize the impact that win had in a lot of ways on the field, as a program, off the field from a recruiting standpoint, the people that were at that game or watched that game on television. So it was, we'll be feeling the impact of that game for many, many years. There's no question about it. And in the short term, really, I didn't really think so much about the impact of what it meant in the moment. It was really, for me, just happy for, for all of our players, but really happy just for our, older guys. We've got a lot of guys. I think we're at 13 players that have been here since 2020, and that's the year before I got here. And then a lot of guys that have been here with me since I became the head coach before the 21 season. So they could have easily bolted after last season. Last year was tough, just the adversity we faced with injuries and not having the record that we wanted. Human nature is to take the easy way out and move on, and these guys doubled down on this place and what this place is about, and have been on a mission since January to have nights like we had last Saturday. So I was just really happy for them.
Yeah, I want to talk about your quarterback. I also want to talk about Vanderbilt. We'll get to them in just a second, Shane Beamer. But after the game, Coach, I didn't know you had that Riz in you. That was really impressive, getting the whole team to serenade your wife on her birthday and sing a little Fantasia When I See You. How'd you come up with that one, Coach?
Yeah, that was cool. I had to look up what the word Riz means because I heard that as well, and I wasn't sure. I was like, I hope that's a good thing. We play some music, or we play music at times during our practices, just at the beginning when we're stretching and early on during individual and things like that. And so last year, I started hearing that song, and I'll be honest with you, knew it, but I really wasn't familiar with it. But when it would play at practice, our players, they would sing, some of them, I'd see them over there dancing. It was, I could tell they liked that song. So it just continued to play. And then I'd start listening to the words, and it just kind of hit me that, earlier in the week, I was like, it'd be cool. My wife's birthday, it's actually today, but I was like, my wife's birthday is coming up. If we win the game, that would be fun in the locker room. And I told the guys, I need you to have my back, just because we needed to create a vibe in there for sure. It didn't need to be me just singing and nobody else doing anything. And they answered the call. The players did as well, and was a really cool moment. And I had no idea that it would be as widespread and viral and impactful as it's been. It's been pretty cool, especially from a recruiting standpoint.
Yeah, well, the video did like 4 or 5 million views, I think, the last time I checked a few days ago. And didn't Fantasia send you flowers herself?
Yeah, she did. She sent flowers, and she sent a video to me as well. She's been super sweet about that, and really, really cool. So fun moment, and that's what it's all about. You work really, really hard during the week to have locker room celebrations like that as well, and really, really just a really cool moment.
Well, now you're screwed moving forward, Coach. Like, how do you top next year's birthday? Like, seriously.
Yeah, I know. I've heard from so many husbands across the world that I know that have texted me to say that I've ruined it for all husbands across America, because nobody can compare to that one. Those texts are still coming in today, as a matter of fact.
That's unbelievable. Your quarterback, LaNorris Sellers, he is exciting. We saw what he did throwing the ball, 244 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and on the ground, we know what he could do as well. 15 carries for 106 yards and another touchdown. Take me through who your quarterback is if people don't know much about him or have elected to doubt your quarterback through this last year.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that just continues to get better. Very poised, very confident. People forget that obviously he was a very inexperienced quarterback coming into the season. He was a redshirt freshman, and then you go into his redshirt freshman season, and he plays the first game against Old Dominion. There's a period of the Kentucky game, week 2, where he got knocked out with an injury. He came back in return. Game 3 was LSU. He didn't play the second half because of injury. Game 4 was Akron. He didn't play at all because of an injury. And then he came back in Game 5 against Ole Miss. So, Ole Miss, then Alabama, then Oklahoma, those were only up until last week. He'd only played in 3 complete SEC games. So he's a guy that each of those games you saw him getting better as he got more and more experience. And he's a great young man, 240 pounds, can run, continues to improve as a quarterback, and great leader, and just a really, really – he's got the DNA of what you want at your quarterback position. There's no question about it.
Yeah, what would you say is his ceiling? Like, if everything goes right for him and he keeps on putting up the performances like he did up against A&M moving forward and gets better with just more and more reps, what can he be moving forward for your program?
Yeah, I think he can be as good as he wants to be, and the sky's the limit for him. He can make all the throws. He can run. He can make people miss. He can break tackles. He's intelligent. He works really hard. He's a football junkie. I know this. I'm glad he's ours. That's for sure.
All right, let me get to Vanderbilt. Clark Lee has done an incredible job this year, right? Everyone had his program looking for a new coach at the end of the season. Everyone thought he was going to be done at some point this season. He's had a big victory up against Alabama. That team is as tough, one of the toughest teams I've seen play this year. Just how about what's impressed you with what coach has been able to do this year, getting ready to prepare for them?
Yeah, I got a lot of respect for him. Clark and I were both hired as head coaches in the SEC at the same time, same year. So somebody that I think a lot of personally and professionally, and he's done a great job. People forget he had some wins before this year that were very big wins, beating Kentucky, beating Florida, and whatnot, and then obviously what he's done this season. But they're doing a great job. They obviously have bought into everything that they're doing. And then as a team, they're doing the things that you have to do to win football games. They're leading the SEC in time of possession. They're the least penalized team in the SEC. I think they're second in turnover margin. So they're not turning the ball over. They're not beating themselves with penalties. They're finding ways to just get the game to the fourth quarter by controlling the ball. And then they've got great confidence in what they're doing right now, and they're really hard to beat. I think they've got 3 losses this year by a total of 10 points, and just doing a really good job, and they certainly have our respect.
And the quarterback doesn't take no for an answer, Diego Pavia, and he has a lot of energy, clearly, and he's a tremendous leader. When I kind of view you as a coach, or you see being a leader, you see a lot of energy. I'm not saying you see yourself in Diego, but even though it's going to be a tough matchup for you guys this week, it has to be a player you have a lot of respect for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Got a ton of respect for the way he plays the game. That his energy fuels that Vanderbilt team. You can tell it's his team, and they rally around him, and it's been really fun to watch. He's a competitor. He's tough. He can run. He can make throws. He's a gamer, and it's been really cool to watch him play this season, and I've got a ton of respect for him.
Last thing I'll ask you, Coach Shane Beamer. We talk about the moment with your wife after the game. I also saw your dad was on the sideline, which was pretty cool as well. Just how about that family atmosphere that you've kind of, really have implemented at South Carolina?
Yeah, it's what it's all about. I was very fortunate growing up, the son of a coach, to be able to, experience really cool moments with my dad, whether it be on the big stage at Virginia Tech or even on the smaller stage when he was the head coach at Murray State. All those memories that I had, and to be able to do it now with my family, not just my family, but our coaches, wives and kids. It's what it's all about. And there's a lot of sacrifices that we have to make as coaches because of our job, time away from our family and things like that. So to be able to include our families in what we're doing and be able to include them in special moments like we had the other day is something I'm really grateful to be able to do.
Well, Coach, heck of a moment. Good luck this weekend. We appreciate the time. Thanks for it.
You got it. Thanks for having me on.